You're welcome to Issues at Hand this morning. A very warm welcome from wherever you are watching. We welcome you this morning, and of course, we are here to discuss issues that pertain the country in terms of security, but also education, inspiration, or not forgetting politics and economics. But today we are putting our focus on growth of the education sector since independence, but also preparations ahead of this year's examinations that are yet to commence. And of course, we are going to be looking at a thing or two about that. But before I go there, of course, it is Protea Hotel by Marriott that has sponsored the show today, and they want to remind you of the services that they do have in stock for you. That is from continental dishes and cuisines, different kinds of continental dishes and cuisines that you can try out with friends and family, but also a health club, including gym, sauna, steam bath, and a spa where you can go and relax your mind and body after a long weekend or after long weeks work. Now, of course, remember, they also do have accommodation in case you are interested in sleeping in and, of course, enjoying some time with your friends and family. They also have swimming for those of you who enjoy swimming. They have a very big swimming pool that will cater for your needs in that direction. My name is Nowamani. This is Issues at Hand, the 9th of October 2023, and of course we are celebrating independence today, and of course it is a very, very beautiful thing to see Uganda growing through the ranks, through the steps, and of course finally achieving some of the goals that have been set before us by our leaders, but also by our leaders in faith. Those are the leaders of the church. Today we are focusing on the education sector. We remember that earlier this week we were looking at the journey of independence of the education sector, and we remember that we mentioned a thing or two about the education sector in the 1950s and in 1960s, where you would go to school to study and get acquainted with how to work with the whites or the people of the British colonial rule. But over time, the nation has indeed grown to a place where we can smartly say that the education sector is doing well around all fields: engineering, doctors, journalism, lawyers. Everywhere we have strongholds in education, and we have schools that can train our students very, very well to become professionals in these different sectors. Today I have a guest in studio from the education sector, from UNEB particularly, and this is because we are preparing to start our exams. Her name is Rose Nabukenya, and she is going to be introducing herself and saying hello to us. Then we'll get into the show. You're welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you very much, Carol. And good morning, viewers. My name is Nabukenya Rose Mukasa, as Carol has said. I want to send independence greetings to all Ugandans, and especially parents of the candidates of this year, the PLE, UCE, and USE, and the candidates themselves, plus their teachers who have struggled so hard to prepare them. I want to congratulate them upon reaching this level and wish them more preparations, because that is not all that they have done. This one is a daily aspect that they have to do until they finish their papers. So happy independence to you all.
Thank you so much, Miss Rose Nabukenya. Now, can we cross to the education sector? Before we get to UNEB as an entity and body of government, can you tell us what you think is the growth rate of this education sector since the 1960s to now, when we are celebrating 61 years of independence? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, thank you, Carol. You were right in your introduction. You said we have seen education growing to heights, and I want to agree with you. Challenges notwithstanding, we are seeing a lot of growth in different aspects. And as far as the country is concerned, we have seen the expansion of schools. We have both private and government. We have seen increase in candidature, and as far as assessors are concerned, where I work, we have seen increase in schools, both government and private. We have seen increase in courses for those in higher education, And I think this is a positive attribute, something positive for our country. And I believe we aspire for more. The education sector is growing day by day. We are seeing introductions of new courses and new aspects. For example, when the curriculum is changing, we are seeing the direction that education is taking us, where children will get out of school, even at the lowest, when they are able to do something for themselves. So my prayer is that this is something very good for our country. It should actually continue. We think that if we go like this, where children are going to be able to learn and do, our country will not remain the same. So I have to call upon all the players in the education sector at all levels to please partake the developments that we are having right now ahead, because this is the way to go. With the advancement in technology, we cannot afford to remain behind. Let our children go ahead and do it. We have admired countries where children are able to get focused right at the lowest age. I think that is where we want to go. So if our curriculum is held with open hands and with open minds, we shall achieve. I think that is what we can celebrate at this time, that we are getting redirected into the right path. We only need a lot of support to all the players involved, to the teachers, to the planners of the education sector, and to everybody. I think this will be very good for our country going ahead.
Thank you so much, Miss Rose. But you talked about countries. Do you admire the fact that some countries actually train a child? For example, if a child is interested in being an astronaut,
Yes.
they train them from the lower levels. They don't give them chance to study the history, literature, and all other subjects. They immediately set them up to be who they want to be. If they want to be an engineer, then they start to study the physics and stuff like that. Do you agree with that kind of
my sister Carol, I think we have a saying that the end justifies the means, because we have seen a lot of advancement in these countries.
Okay.
This is where everybody wants to run. This is where even our children want to go after they have graduated here, after their university. And so if that is what works, I think I admire that.
Okay.
There is a tendency to overcrowd our curriculum, to overburden our children. And as I don't want to say what they have learned in those areas is bad and is not constructive. It is good, but it can be too much, in that at the end of the day, they are trading in too much and they are not masters of any. So I would rather they concentrate at an early stage. I think that's where we shall get the real manufacturers, the real scientists, the way we have had our head of the state say. If they concentrate at an early stage, if they want to be historians, if they want to be real artists, let them be, and let them start concentrating early enough. There is room for studying other things as people move by, but the issue is, where do they concentrate? Where do they put the greatest percentage of their energy? Whereas they have other things to learn. It's like now, I think, Carol, you have not stopped learning. You have read novels in your free time.
Yeah.
You go and Google and get a lot of knowledge in other fields that you've never known. You may have learned cookery, even lessons go on. That is okay. But what is your area of concentration that can make you make a difference in this country or in your country and in your life as a person? I think I admire those countries that have achieved that.
Okay. We do hope that Uganda gets there one of these years. But
surely.
But we are not bad. We are not doing bad.
No, we are not doing bad. I'm not saying that. Actually, despite the congestion, when our children go out there, they are able to compete favorably. And you only wish that had they concentrated much earlier, I think they would have done better.
Yeah.
We want to see it done in here. We don't want them to run and go there and do it. We want that concentration to be benefiting our country.
Yeah.
And I think if that happens, the children will be willing to stay here, because they will know that they're going to be productive and cause change in their country here. Yes, not elsewhere. That is my yearning as a person.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that beautiful contribution. Now we get to UNEB. We are, as a country, people are set to start examinations. I think days from now, the days are nearing. And of course, the first question I would ask is the briefing part of it. Every group of these people, UCE, USCE, and PLE, they are going to have their briefing. I think we're going to start with the one of UCE, since they have many papers they started early. And my question would be, what are we expecting from the briefing? Both the teachers, the parents, all actually, not both, the teachers, the parents, but also the learners.
Oh, Carol, thank you very much. That is a very good question in as far as our preparation is concerned, as far as UNEB is concerned. We have on the timetable a period for briefing of candidates. If you look at the UCE, we have programmed it for 13th October, which is Friday. This week we have started today. And I want to assure you, it is a good thing to have the children briefed for the examinations they're going to do. As you have put it, these examinations, for example, for UCE, started a little bit earlier with the practicals in some subjects, like and the orals, practicals in home management, home economics. But before we go into the what you would call the real papers, I want to call them real, not undermining those they have done already, we feel that the schools need to gazette off time and talk to the children. Schools need to organize and have the children sit together with their teachers and the parents, if possible, and remind them of the so many things they have been talking about for all the years. First of all, the children need to know that they are not going to compete with anybody in the world other than themselves. They are preparing themselves for years ahead in as far as education is concerned. They need to be told that examinations are not a battle, that they need to really get hammers, need to have hips, have sleepless nights. No. Somebody has to tell them somewhere that they are preparing for what they have been reading, just to put it on paper. Therefore, they need to cool their heads down. Carol, I want to assure you, papers can make children boil. They can even make some of them indisciplined. They can make them feel like nobody has ever done these papers before. So when we come to briefing time, somebody has to assure these children that so many people have done examinations, and therefore they are only following the footsteps of those who have done these exams before. They have to remind them of the regulations that they are going to find in their different subjects. These regulations are set down in each paper, but more so on the timetable. We have requested the schools to avail each candidate, especially at UCE and USCE, a copy of the timetable so that they can read and prepare early before they go into the examination room. So on the timetable, they are going to find the regulations that remind them about engagement in malpractice and what it may entail. Of course, they are also going to be reminded of the time, that the time they need to use is as indicated on the timetable. They are going to be reminded that they should only sit for only those papers they registered for. Carol, there's a tendency of our children, especially at UCE and USCE, to wake up and they enter examination rooms for papers they never registered for, thinking that they have, made up their minds they can also do the other subject, which is very impossible, because these papers are prepared much earlier. We know the numbers, and that student has to be prepared also by their teachers. So if they wake up and jump into a paper, they can cause commotion. They can also go berserk because they will be shocked to find what they did not expect. And we don't want to see that. So this briefing date is going to bring out all these issues, because the teachers are expected to have those copies of the timetable and they go through the regulations. Apart from that, we have a manual which we have given to head teachers that spells out what we expect the different people who are going to work with the children to do, their roles. the invigilators, the chief invigilators, the monitors, the scouts, everybody who is going to be engaged in that exercise with the children has their role well defined in our manual. So on that day of briefing, all this information has to be given to the children and to the teachers around the school, because Carol, sometimes we find teachers engaging in what they should not engage into because they do not know our regulations. Therefore, it is an opportune time during briefing for the teachers to also get to know what UNEB expects them to be doing. If I may give you an example, we have the science teachers who are supposed to prepare the laboratories, the equipment, the chemicals for these children who are going to do the practicals. Sometimes if they don't read the regulations and if they're not prepared, they go overboard, they cross and they go beyond what they are supposed to do, and we don't want to see this. So this day of briefing brings together the teachers and the children, and the teachers get to know that even if a child puts up a hand when I'm there preparing, I'm not supposed to help that child answer the questions. My role is to give them the apparatus, to set up whatever I'm supposed to set, and move out of the room, but not to give answers. So that is briefing for us, and we expect also the parents to attend as much as possible, to remind them, especially those who have children coming from home, the day scholars, that they have an obligation to give them lunch. If children don't eat well, if they don't get a meal, they cannot perform well in examinations. So that is the day we also take off and tell the parents to prepare for the children, and also to enable the children reach our examination centers in time. We have issues with time management when it comes to the time of arriving at the examination center. The scholars sometimes get late, and that one is a challenge. As you said, we shall talk about it more. I think we shall discuss, and I show them the implications. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that. And my question, from what you've said, I've picked something. If a child doesn't understand a question, let's start from there. Can they be able to maybe raise their hand and ask, this question I don't understand, how do I go about it? Or is it not allowed? Because maybe some of the questions have issues. Or even if they don't, and a student doesn't understand a question, is it allowed for the student to ask for clarity about this particular question? Okay.
Thank you, Carol. Our instructions do not allow the people who work with the children, the invigilators and chief invigilators, to give explanations. If a child raises a concern about a question, the invigilator will go and read. You never know. We don't brush off the children when they raise their hands. A question may have issues. In rare cases, you may find maybe a question is outrageous or maybe had an error, and I've said in rare cases that the invigilator has a duty to go and see what the child is raising without giving them explanations or answers to what seems to be ambiguous. The invigilator can advise the student to read again, or to leave that question and come back to it in case the invigilator finds that there is no problem, because the child's question or the candidate's question may be insinuating that please give me some clues, give me some leads, and that one should not be seen to happen in an examination room. So the invigilator has to be wise, and when we are preparing them, we tell them to be wiser than the candidates, not to have any leads, not to be reading the questions. Just will advise, read it again, try again, and if you find it difficult, first leave it and do others, you come back to it. That can be the best advice. But this invigilator will pick, in case there is a question, they will write in their report that children will, because you may find that the whole class is putting up their hands and there was a problem. So the invigilator is supposed to take note and bring back the report to UNEB through the channels, because the invigilator has an area supervisor, for example, if it is UCE. And if we find that the question was hard, then that one is handled by the technical team. And the children must be seen not to be disadvantaged at all levels. If the question had a problem, there's a way it is handled technically on our side.
Okay.
Yes.
That is good. So how about the parents making sure, or even the children making sure that they are fully registered? Are we sure that all the candidates that we have in Uganda that are going to sit for UNEB examinations are fully registered, or do they need to check again?
Carol, you're right to ask, because after registration, we invite the children, the candidates, and their parents to do a check. Actually, from the month of August, we advised that schools put up the candidates lists for check. This one has benefited so many. We found a school in Masaka, for example, where candidates had not been registered, and this was captured. Efforts were done to help them. And we said this many times, that if the registers are put in place, put up in the schools, parents go there and read. Candidates read. Find out if your name was well captured. Find out if your age was captured well. Find out if your gender was captured. And we have done this in the different media. We have told this to the head teachers. We have met the inspectors in case of primary. And we have advised them to go back and ensure the registers are up, even at the district. We have also done this. We met the area supervisors in the previous weeks, and when we were briefing them, we emphasized and overemphasized this issue, telling the children, the candidates and the parents to go and check. So if the candidate is not registered by now, of course it is an unfortunate thing, it is too late. We advise that they report. The head of the institution has the upper hand to decide what can be done.
Okay.
Yes, the issue is to report.
Okay.
Yes.
So in case of any eventualities, for example, this one, for example, a child is sick, and the provision of, is there a provision of these students to be given exams after others have sat, or to be given special exams in case of any eventualities, because things happen here and there.
Yeah.
But how does UNEB handle such a thing?
Yeah, Carol, thank you very much. In UNEB, we believe that exams must be done fairly, and we will talk about equity. The circumstances must be the same across the board, and they should be done, for example, on the same day. If the paper is geography on the first day, it must be done on that day, and we do not expect any other examination to be done in the name of geography, which was done on day one. And that is the case, Carol. Many people will want to quote what happened last year, where we had the primary children in there's a, which district of the Prime Minister? Sorry, the name is skipping my head.
The names can be difficult.
I don't know. Okay, so there's that primary group that were given special consideration.
Okay.
Carol, I want to tell the public that that one, according to the head of the institution and the board of UNEB, was a one-off. That one is not likely to happen again. Or it will not happen again, because this is the information we were told this year.
Okay.
And so the candidates and the parents and the general public should not relax and imagine that things will happen the way they happened last year for the primary kids. Their circumstances were unique, the description was unique, and they were handled uniquely. But that was not setting a precedence at all. Therefore, candidates must be aware that if they lose the paper, it will be lost. If they come late after 15 minutes, they will lose out on that subject. And in the case of primary, you lose out on one subject, you have lost it completely.
Of course.
If you're not having, you will not be graded because you have X in one of the subjects. And so that is what it is. In other areas, if you lose the paper, of course you will get X, and you will not have big graded. You will not be given marks for that subject, and that is what it is. Okay. So that one is to call upon the candidates to be prepared in time, to be at the examination centers in time, to ensure, in case of sickness, and the child is not able to continue with the paper as we start for UCE, of course we shall get the reports. This one is decided depending on what the circumstances are, but a paper missed is not repeated. That one is information.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're mentioning some of the malpractices, but now let's get to the real malpractice that UNEP does not expect, but that the parents don't expect, and as a country we do not expect some of these malpractices to happen. Why? We've sung a song about them.
Yeah.
They are not allowed, it is bad, and it shows a bad picture for the entire country when some people are involved in malpractice. Some of the malpractices include impersonation, cheating, talking while the paper is going on, and many others that you're going to tell us about them. So what do you have to say about the malpractice, and maybe to call upon people that are going to sit their exams, the parents that are going for briefing, to also remind the students that on TV they said no malpractice.
Yeah, we have already said, Carol, that malpractice is a cancer that is eating up our country, our education system. But I want to say it is a cancer that eats up the education system across the globe. So every country where they are, every education institution, everyone in their own way must participate. For us in UNEB, our theme is open and clear, and say integrity and security in the management of examinations is a joint responsibility. And our focus is basically the fight of malpractice, because malpractice happens for different reasons. People want to give advantage to a candidate or candidates to be ahead of others, to be able to have good grades and get good schools, or to go to the university, or no government sponsorship. As schools, they may want to, of course, to attract more children because they are the only people who can make grades. As parents, they want to say, yes, my child has made it and therefore can go to the other school, which is the best school in the country.
Yeah.
And there's so many reasons that they have. But I want to call upon Ugandans, fellow parents, schools, and the candidates that malpractice is dangerous. It is bad. Some people have tended to advantage candidates and maybe a candidate or their children, and they ended up disadvantaging them. We have had cases where, of course, somebody has tried to access the papers in advance. When they send these sheets of paper, of course, our person's integrity is still standing in our country. There are people of high integrity that we send, and when they get them, they report. These children never receive their results. Yeah. And of course, if the intention was to advantage candidates or a candidate or your child, here the child has lost it completely, and I think that is dangerous. We have also seen cases where even teachers who try to aid the children don't do it right. They intend to give them correct answers, but when examiners are marking, they find that the candidate crossed out a correct answer and they wrote a wrong answer from the sheets of papers that were circulating. And now, Carol, imagine, this candidate knew the correct answer, but ended up writing the wrong answer because the teacher was not knowledgeable or because the teacher was panicking. So malpractice is bad. Whichever angle you want to trace it, it is so dangerous. Okay, look at this one who has had, of course, all the answers and has been able to excel in courts, and they have brought very good marks. They have even taken up a very good course. Call it medicine, call it engineering, call it any good course you want to imagine. We have heard that some buildings collapse before the engineers hand over to the intended owners or to the owners. So when you sit back, you ask, was this the work of a quack engineer that got marks out of cheating? We have also had some medical personnel who forget wrong things in the bodies of their patients. Could this be a trace of malpractice? And so many other fields, of course. Even if a teacher like me, you can give wrong information, you may fail to instruct properly because you did not go through the methods properly. And that is malpractice for you. and there's so many other areas. The things we see in our country when we see a lot of corruption, sometimes we imagine people are not doing what they do because they are professional, but because they somersaulted, and what comes out is that they don't value, they were not well grounded to handle what they handle professionally because they didn't go through the process properly.
Yeah.
They somersaulted, if I may use the word. So that is malpractice for us, and as a country, I think we can no longer afford to sit back and look at things happen without talking about them. Malpractice is bad. We should fight it. We should ensure our children hate it, and they should therefore prepare to do work on their own. I think that is what I can say about malpractice.
Okay. Thank you so much. And of course, it leads to very, very bad, unfortunate incidences like cancellation of the registered
Results,
candidates, suspension of an examination center.
Surely. Yeah.
Basically, it's not advisable, and UNEB, as you have heard, condemns it and does not participate in any malpractice whatsoever. Even there are rumors that some exams escape and reach the students of a certain school before they are open. I want to believe they are wrong, and they are not going to happen this year round. So let's take on that,
Carol, I want to comment. It's not a rumor. I've told you, some people who are not well grounded in their professions try to access these papers, especially when they are leaving the police station to the schools. There's a lot of interception that is being tried by many people. Some people try to cut our envelopes as they transport them to school. So it happens, and this is where our effort is being put to ensure that the papers leave the police station and reach the centers when they are still safe. Okay. And this is where we call upon every Ugandan. Some people have been good in the past. They have reported these incidences and they have tried to foil the plans before they're fulfilled. We have seen this happen, and we have appreciated those efforts. We want to continue to call upon every person. During examination time, people need to be alert, need to see what is going on around the schools. If, for example, it is lunchtime and the paper has ended, some schools have tendencies of wanting to take away children from school, hide them somewhere, so that they if they are able to access, maybe what I haven't told you, Carol. Now, technology is very good, but it has come with, of course, many problems. Yeah. Some people have used the mobile phones to the disadvantage of the school system and the examination system, such that if the team that is managing the papers is not strong, some people take pictures and they saturate them. This is what you hear that is still remaining as a problem in our system. So we want to have very strong-hearted people in the field, officers, vigilators, but also very strong-hearted Ugandans who can say what I have seen is not right, and they report. I have seen children being taken away. Why? The children are supposed to be in school waiting for their second paper, for example, or in the morning, early morning, you see a lot of fidgeting around schools. People need to give us these reports so that all children across the country sit under the same conditions, sit the same papers, start at the same time, and therefore, if that is done, we shall have a fair judgment, a fair assessment of what the children learned, and be able to place them properly in this education system.
Okay,
Yes.
That's a good one. Thank you so much. Now we're going to take a very short break, but we're returning shortly. We still have some of the issues that we need to talk about. For example, the PWDs, have they been prepared for, and are they going to also sit the same exams, or what is the preparation for such people? And then also calling upon different people of faith to step in and start to pray for our candidates in the country to make sure that the results are very, very well pleasing. The girls usually beat the boys when it comes to these papers. We hope this time around it will be an equal measure. My name is Carol. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. We'll be back shortly. party, you can go there and see if it can be your venue for your party. We're back with issues at hand. Today we are looking at preparations ahead of UNEB examinations that are set to start next week, but the briefing is ongoing this Friday, the 13th of October 2023, and we are here with Miss Rose Nabukenya, and she's taking us through this journey. However, I would like to start with the issue of discipline among our candidates, because as you saw in the papers last week, that trended so much, the entire school, boys, the school in Bara, one of the most prominent schools in Uganda, but also in Bara, Western Uganda, where the whole senior six was suspended because they had striked and vandalized things, properties of the school, because of a reason that was very shocking to me, that they had been told to hand over their phones, and it's no longer a school, the school no longer allows students to carry mobile phones, and that is when the senior six students went on strike. And I was just wondering, they have just days to their examinations, and they did not look at that, they did not factor in that. Of course, we can't say all of them were bad, there are some of them who are humble, but you see how it affects those who are humble. The whole of senior six was suspended, and maybe I'd like to you to say something about this issue of discipline and how the candidates are supposed to carry themselves when it comes to this time nearing UNEB.
Oh, thank you very much, Carol. The incident you have cited was an unfortunate incident indeed. I really sympathize with the fellow parents, of course, and the entire education fraternity. The school must be also stressed about it. What I want to say about discipline, to our candidates, the issue of discipline is one of the aspects that leads to success in examinations. If a candidate gets loudly or indisciplined, you get worried. I don't want to use strong words because the candidates in Mbarara will get scared, and maybe those who have been suspended in other schools. But the reality is, if a candidate wants to pass, they must concentrate. They must create around themselves an environment that is so enabling, that does not bring tension to anyone. The school community had their reasons, as I have put them, and maybe many more reasons. This candidate had only one obligation: to obey. Because as we normally say, many times we forget that this is a process, or it's a journey, and you have hours or days or months or years in a particular station, and you leave to another station. The only problem you can make for yourself is to create commotion, and you delay or remain in the same station. So this commotion, even in our lives, it can happen. If, for example, you're going to travel and you do not keep time, if it is an international travel, you're going to be left by the plane. You will have to pay more money. You will have to miss the people who are going to be waiting for you, will also get disturbed. And so the process is going to continue like that. So is a candidate. So I want to call upon the candidates that discipline is very, very necessary around the period. UNEB conducts exams with candidates who are surrendered by the head teacher. When candidates are registered, they don't get a direct ticket to sitting even when they are indisciplined. So if UNEB brings exams to the school, the chief invigilator and the invigilators are going to ask the head teacher, where are the candidates? So the candidates submitted to us are the candidates we give examinations. And therefore, our candidates need to know this. When they are indisciplined and they are not in school, they are not going to sit. Therefore, parents, the candidates, and everybody must know that we help our children to go through this process of examinations successfully. If it was an issue of phones, that one was an unfortunate one, because phones have, as I have told you in this very show, are a menace to our examination system. Whereas technology is good, and that is where we may be going, but as where we are, we have not prepared ourselves to using phones in the examination, in our examination system. people have transferred wrong papers in the guise of UNEVA examinations on these phones. And therefore, children are distracted. Instead of concentrating to revise what they have learned with their teachers, what they have researched on their own, they concentrate on the fake papers being projected on their phones. And therefore, this is very, very dangerous. Any school will withdraw phones from the children. So there's no reason, whether phones or food or what, that is going to compel a candidate to protest with the school or to really get indisciplined, and therefore leading to their to be expelled. I want to call upon our children to remain disciplined. I don't know the fate of our candidates in inter school, but I'm very sure that by the time it ends, it will have to engage or to work up the parents, because they have to engage with the school and ensure the school that their children are going to be safe and to leave the school safe if they are allowed to sit their examinations. When we were briefing the area supervisors and the head teachers, we alerted them about this, and we told them that they need to call to work with the security authorities in their areas, that if they are faced with such, for example, what happened in inter school, they will have to engage the security. And in some cases, you never know, the children may have to be accompanied, and this police has been made aware, and the parents are going to enter into this battle. It is very hard. So dear candidates, do not make your parents cry. Do not make us parents cry, because all of us are parents anyway, in one level or the other, at one time or another, and therefore don't make us cry. You have to remain disciplined. If you're watching, you must remain disciplined, because this journey that you distract is going to work against you. If, for example, you miss a year, you are missing what you had organized for your entire life. You had said, after the A level, I have 3 years or 5 years or so, and after that, I want to work from here, I want to do this, and I want to do that. You will not be able to do that in case you are distracted in the school system. So they must remain disciplined. They have no ticket. If registration does not give them a direct ticket to sitting, if they are indisciplined.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. And lastly, of course, it's to call upon the people of faith and those strong in prayer to pray for us and guide our nation as we go to UNEB. What do you have to say about that?
Carol, thank you very much, because when things turn up like this, we need God. We have always needed God. We need God every day and every time.
Yes.
But when we normally get to know God's power when we come to hard times. To our children, these are hard times. To everybody, the heads of the schools, and to UNEB, these are hard times. So we need prayers. So I want to call upon the public that let us organize to pray for our children, to pray for the school system, to pray for UNEB, that we do a good job, which is going to give our children good results. In UNEB, we also have prayers. We have dedicated this week for prayer. We normally set off time and we pray for the children, we pray for the country, we pray for our examinations. We have requested that the different faith organize for prayers. For example, on Friday, we request the Muslims to pray for the candidates. Saturday, the SDAs to pray for the candidates. And on Sunday, or the rest of the Christian faith, to pray for the candidates and for the entire nation, that these exams should go well. Nobody should be affected. Let there be no death, or the candidates, the parents, the invigilators, the scouts. Everybody should come out victorious. We know sometimes the weather works against us. We need to pray for good weather during examinations, so that at the end of the day, everybody is victorious in these examinations. I want to pray for the body I work for, our head of the institution, and the entire staff, the directors and the entire staff, that let God help us to be very strong in this season, to serve our nation the way we have promised, because this is what I think independence should call for. For us, our independence is to really be committed to our work, to serve the country, to make exams reach in time in every corner of this country, and to give this country results that are reliable, that are not contestable in any form. I want to thank you, Family TV, for always enabling us to come here You have given us good time to communicate to this country, and we want to continue in the same direction as much as opportunity comes. I want to thank you very much. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Rose. And we thank you also for dedicating time to come and educate parents, students, but also the public about what UNEB expects, and to tell us that, of course, from UNEB's side, we're ready to go. We're ready to go, and of course the students are ready to sit the exams. We can only pray that God guides us, and this year will be better than last year in terms of the examination. The COVID-19 period is over, and we are back to normal when it comes to our education sector, and of course we thank God for that. It has been a beautiful show. It's been great having you. We're powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe, and from the organizers of this show, from the executive director up to, of course, our producers Edwin Mukalazi, as well as the studio producer Shama, and of course transmission Muhumza, and from myself, it is a good morning. Thank you so much for watching.